Hello, and welcome to another Wisdom Talk. I have a quote to read today, and this is by a person named Ashley Hetherington. I dare you to take off the mask of perfection and show up as you are. Feel the freedom, the relief, the lightness. Because when we are real, that's when we actually heal. And those around us just might heal too. What masks do we put on? What do we pretend to be? Often the roles that we are in careers, or the roles that we play in different relationships in our lives, as friendships, as parents, as children, as aunts, as uncles, all different sorts of relationships. And we play all of these roles, and these roles often have somewhat defined roles in society, right? Expectations of behavior, expectations of different ways to behave, of course, with that behavior. That's what that is. And when we try to fill these roles, this seeming perfection role that somehow has these rules defined, we do lose ourselves. And most of the time, all of these roles are already programmed inside of us from early on. And in the process of awakening is when we lose these roles, or we begin to actually just see beyond the roles. Because the roles always exist, and they can exist. They're different programs in this world, in this particular reality. And when we are filling these roles, we are away from our own authenticity. And the unmasking that happens when one is, say, neurodivergent is a part of this, leaving those roles behind. And it's the divergent mind that is able to comprehend and to more fully embrace the divergence of the human spirit and our own unique journeys that we are all having here. But to fully embrace one's authenticity takes courage, immense courage, because to stand alone on your own, away from the different roles that you have been filling in others' lives, often even unwillingly, you just happen to be there. And did you know that there are so many different versions of you that exist? There are so many different parallel timelines and realities, for one, but another, the version of you that exists in everyone's minds that meets you. There's a different version. Everybody sees you differently, and it's all based on our lens of perception. So when we can clear those lenses of perception, when we know thyself, this was such an important statute to live by in the Stoic realms. And this was on, is it the Apollo of Delphi temple, I believe? Don't quote me on that. I apologize for not having the information fully. But the first thing to do on there is to know thyself. What is self? How do we even get to self? What does self even mean? Because often when we start focusing on self, it's seen as selfish by others. And the only reason this is seen as selfish by others is because you can no longer perform the roles that they have deemed for you to fill in their own versions of reality and the perception they have of you. It is okay. Focus on yourself. There are two ways that we can sway into this too, by focusing on self and knowing thyself. The knowledge of what we gain of self is not in the ego. That is a false self, yes. It is one that we create for this lifetime to learn through. Do not deny the ego. There is such a spiritual teaching to deny the ego, and this has always felt so wrong. And I've pondered this so long, and the denial of the ego is the denial of things that can help you build confidence and to bring your own soul into this creation. We receive a new ego for every lifetime, and that's why we play so many different roles. But it's through the knowing of this ego and the recognition that this is ego versus what really we are inside, the light that shines, the stars inside, and that soul spark that resides inside of every single person's heart. We have different roles to play. Again, everybody does have this soul spark, but it can be hidden completely. So that does not mean that everybody is seeking the same thing. There are not all the worlds that seek spiritual. And if you are listening to this, you are one of those spiritual seekers. You know there's something more to this life, right? And as we sink into self and we lose this mask of perfection of all of these societal roles, we're able to finally feel that inside. And I tell you, the way into this is through the doorway that we access as our inner child. The inner child is the master of all. This is one of the greatest secrets that I will share with you, that I have discovered in my own journeys. And I would love nothing more than for you to feel so many different beautiful things that are felt when you are open in this way. When we bring forth our inner child self, but not as the one that's out of control, the one that we're not understanding, because this is our big emotional center. This is the one that will react. When we are able to tap into that child self and to fully connect, we can lose a lot of those roles that have been placed upon us. And we can once again view the world through the eyes with the curiosity of a child. View the world with wonder, and you will never cease to be amazed. Use your imagination. Return to this. Pretend. And when we pretend something, what do we do when we think about tending something? We take care of it. We nurture something, right? It's our own magical garden. And when we do this, we bring this garden into life. That's what pretend is. It's in our imagination, and that is the key and the doorway to freedom. For self, for spirit, for your soul, for your heart to sing. We're meant to sing. We're meant to bring joy. We must face the darkness, not deny the darkness, but face it and understand it as an old friend. This is not condoning evil. There is no correlation between darkness and evil. And there is no correlation between good and light. Those are very misconstrued ideas and concepts that we do have. And the connections. We need to seriously, all the time, question every single belief that we have to find our own inner truth. And that's why there are so many teachings from so many wisdom cultures around the world. Indigenous tribes for thousands of years, and the religions that have seated in their place for the means of control. This is not the way to the answers, and you know this. They create the negative polarities of our existence, and they bring forth that part of the human nature. Everyone has access to God, to Creator, to Source, and it's all through your heart. Because you are those thought forms, those energies, those beings also. Connecting with different deities, you're able to energetically match and bring forth their energy onto the physical realm too. And yes, you can connect with the gods and goddesses. There's no special key that you need. Everybody can do this, just like the angels. Who do you resonate with? That's all you need to ask. And then understand what in your nature, your human nature, resonates with this particular deity. And we can ask these deities to help us unmask and to release those roles of perfection in order to know ourselves deeper. Because truly, the way of life is to know thyself through the heart, which what happens when we do this? Our hearts begin to shine and we begin to heal, not only ourselves, but every single living being around us, no matter what. And this can often feel odd because energetically, this is not a very understood feeling through others. And it can ride through their subconscious and bring forth some inner darkness. And that darkness I do mean as malevolent energy. Stay true to self. This is not to become self-focused. Although the focus of self is how we release and let go. Not release. I made a faux pas with that word. I will talk about that later. Where we let go of those ideals, what we have had in this life. And we can finally let go of everything. The more you realize that when we do focus on self, you become more selfless. And that is what the mystics talk about and the spiritual community means with letting go of the ego. To know thyself beyond the mask that we wear in this lifetime, but not to deny it. This is what we grow here. And we have choices all the time as our spirit tests our choices. And this is the value of free will. And this also dictates how your life will go. We are presented with choices all of the time in choosing a moral and ethical and spiritual way to come into different experiences, or the alternative, which will be a negative polarity, vampirism, and pulling into self in such a way that it is such a self-focus. Outside of that, that's not the energy we're looking for. We need compassion here. We need to share with others in the ways that we are able, and to stand strong inside of self as you understand yourself and love yourself deeper and more than ever. It is through this understanding in how we can reach others and to hold space for everyone in their own journey as we learn from everyone and everything around us, when we're able to see the world through the eyes of the curious child. Let's connect in with this in a healing meditation, and I will be offering connections with this inner child healing because this is so catalytic in creating some magic in your life, and I would love nothing more than to help you find that magic. So please follow and subscribe, and also sign up for my newsletter. I would love you to on magichandsreiki.com. It's right on the home page, a little sign up link. And please, if anyone has any questions, I am happy to answer on here. I will leave you with this. Leave the perfection behind and come to love all of the beautiful non-perfections that you are and have and contain, because those perfections are simply unwritten and some written rules that the society has deemed as the right thing to do. And the vast majority of the time, the vast majority will not ever follow what is right and true. To walk this journey of the spiritual warrior is a path you must walk alone, and you find your connection through the heart. Let's connect. I love you all. I am Dawn in this lifetime with Magic Hands Reiki. And I offer mystic healing such as spiritual guidance and counseling sessions, energy healing with shamanic healing and Reiki healing. And I also offer reading, psychic, tarot, some mediumship. I would love to speak with you and help you along your journey too. Have a great day.